Most 400-meter training videos are made for 18-year-olds, high schoolers, college athletes, right? People with time on their hands, time to recover, right? Who don't have a full-time job. But what if you're 35, 45, 55 or older, busy working, you have a full-time job, you have other life responsibilities, and maybe you're dealing with past nagging injuries, right? And maybe you don't have that much time to train, right? Here's the truth. The 400 meter is one of the hardest races in track and one of the easiest distances to get injured training, especially for adult runners. And here's the thing, most distance runners don't realize that even if you're a 5K runner, marathoner, half marathoner, learning how to train for the 400 can actually improve your speed, running economy, and make those speed workouts more productive. I'm Dr. Ray Peralta, physical therapist and run coach, and I help runners over 30 get faster and stay in pain-free. Right, and today I'm going to show you how to train for the 400 meter intelligently, not like you're some year-old sprinter. And if you want the full Google Doc I'm showing on screen, you can get it inside my free running school group, link in the description. So why the 400 meter is different, right? First mistake, right, a lot of people think is that it's just a sprint and I could just train it by just running, right? And it's not purely endurance either, right? The 400 meter is a speed endurance test, meaning it's high speed, lactic acid buildup, muscular fatigue, and even put a lot of joint forces. Actually, the sprint is about from 3 to 5 times your body weight in force, right? Now, multiply that over the 400 meters, right? That could really put a lot of impact loading. So if you're a 150-pound runner, that's almost like over 700 pounds of force going through your leg every time that foot hits the ground, right? You're going to be towards the 5 times body multiples of force if you're a faster sprinter. If you're slower, then it's going to be more on the lower end. But regardless, it's still a massive load on the body. This is where people, you got the weekend warrior who's like in their 40s or 50s, like, oh, go do a repeat 400 meter workout after not training for months or even years. And then there goes the Achilles tendon just snapped because it couldn't handle the impact loading of sprinting or doing a 400 meter sprint workout or speed workout. And it could happen in any part of the body. It could be at the knee, the hamstrings, the hips, right? It's not just the Achilles. And this is why a lot of runners get hurt when they start adding sprint workouts or really try to push the speed on the sprint workout. So I understand why, a lot of older runners, over 40 and stuff are a little fearful. They kind of take it easy when they're doing speed workout because they don't want to get hurt. And I understand that. But my coaching as a physical therapist is that your cardio adapts fast, but your tendons and joints adapt slow, right? So you could build up your heart and lungs doing cardio, but if your lungs feel ready and your tissues are not, and that's what injuries happen. Right. So the 400 meter uses both energy systems. You want to train the anaerobic energy system, right? And also part of it is also aerobic. That's why it helps the distance runners as well. So some of the biggest mistakes masters athletes make. Mistake number 1, training like a track athlete, like you're like a teenager or in your 20s. That means you're going to try to go hard. You try to go red zone all the time, sprinting like 3 or 4 times a week. No strength training, no recovery structure, running on tired legs, right? On the opposite extreme, there are folks who are just fearful of speed, who only just do easy runs all the time. They stay in their comfort zone, who don't do any speed workout, then wondering why they can't get fast. Like, I've been repeating the same, easy runs week after week. Why am I not getting fast? So for runners over 30, 40s, recovery is different, right? You're juggling work stress. Again, you're probably working full time. You're probably not getting as enough sleep as you did when you were younger, right? Maybe you have young kids, you have a family to take care of, and other life responsibilities. You can't out-train poor recovery, right? More workouts does not equal better performance, right? Just more running is not going to make you a better running. To an extent. Now, if you're a complete beginner, sure, anything will make you better if you're a complete beginner. But once you pass the complete beginner stages, you're gonna have to be smart about your training, right? Smarter workouts, faster and safer. But even for a complete beginner, I still think you should be smart. You should set the foundation if you're a complete beginner. Let me be clear here. Even if you're a complete beginner, I think you should still train smart and not just blindly just keep running all the time without doing other types of training. So another one I see is that runners try to get faster, don't do any strength training. They're like, I just got to run to get faster. And they forget about strength training, or they just do it halfway. They halfway strength training. Like, oh, I'm just going to do some air squats. That's strength training. No. See, running alone will plateau your speed. And speed is a subset of strength. If you can't produce force, you can't produce speed. So 400 meter race strategy, right? This is for people who really want to get into the weeds with running. Like maybe you're a master's athlete, you like to compete in the 400 meter sprint or 400 meter dash. With this good strategy, this is going to help you improve your performance and also prevent injury. So the first phase is like the controlled acceleration, the 0 to 80 meter. It's not an all-out sprint. especially if you're like over 30, 35 years old, especially the master's athlete. Target about like 85, 90% effort, smooth and relax, right? If you go 100% from the gun, you'll probably pay for it. You'll start fading out at the 200 meter mark. Phase two, 80 to 200 meter. This is cruise control speed. This is where smart runners win. You're not slowing down, just maintaining controlled speed, right? Relax your face, stay tall, open your stride naturally, controlled breathing. Distance runners especially waste energy here by tensing up, right? When you learn how to pace yourself, even in the 400 meter, it can be very beneficial. And then phase three, 200 to 300 meter, the danger zone. This is where the lactate spikes, legs start to feel heavy, form starts to break down. For master athletes, is weak glutes and hamstring. That posterior chain gets exposed here. So if you have a weak posterior chain, this is usually where you start feeling it, or you start feeling the hamstring, that glute. Try to maintain rhythm, don't overstride, and stay upright, right? Keep a good neutral spine, good relaxed posture, upright posture. And then phase four, the last 300 to 400 meter, arms win the race. This is where a good upper body is actually very important. A lot of runners think about the upper body. So your legs will feel like cement, and that's normal, right? But the arms drive the leg turnover, right? Faster arms, faster legs, right? This is where that arm drive is really important. So strong arm drive, slight forward lean from the ankles, no hunching down, no looking down. Drive those arms, and that's going to actually help you cross finish line. And I have a pretty respectable time. Actually, when I wasn't on the track team, but I actually was curious about my 400 meter time. And I would train, I would do strength training. So when I was in high school, I was able to run a sub 50 second 400 meter time. It was pretty good. I think I was like 16 years old at the time. And part of that is I also attribute to have a good upper body strength as well. And I also did strength training. So doing the strength training we're talking about in a bit, it was so important to making me a faster run. People were surprised, like, how are you so fast? You're not even on the track team. They wanted me on the track team, the coaches and stuff. And I just wanted to share the story with you that doing the strength training was part of the reason for that, to being fast, without even I didn't even have any formal coaching at the time. So smart 400 meter training plan, perfect for busy professionals, masters runners, injury prone athletes, even marathoners. So I typically recommend running just 3 days a week for general fitness. Sure, you could run more days if you really love to, but there should still be a structure, there should be a plan to it. So a one speed session, right? This is where you do shorter sprints, like 200 meter repeats, like 6x200s. There's different sets and rep schemes for this, of course, but I'm just giving you a sample here. Then you want to recover, at least like 2 to 3 minute recovery between the sprints, focus on mechanics and form. And if you're even more tired, heck, you may even take a 5-minute recovery. Like if you really, went all out, you need a longer recovery. But why lower injury risk and then just doing 400 meter all the time, right? Some people are like, I want to train for the 400 meter. I'm going to spam 400 meter all the time. No, you still want to train shorter sprints, the 200 meter, even the 100 meter sprints as well. Day two, this is where you're training your lactate tolerance. Is what distance runners are kind of used to this type of workout, tempo run, right? So the tempo workout or lactate threshold training. This is where you do a longer run, a more steady state run, 30-minute tempo, 20-minute tempo, depending on what your ability levels, even a 45-minute tempo. You could also break it up into longer intervals. So this is where you may do 3x8 minute repeats, or by 10-minute repeats, or 6x1 kilometer repeats is a longer interval. Both methods work. You can mix and match. Even fartlek training, where you maybe set a time for like 30 minutes and then kind of speed up from lamppost to lamppost or from tree to tree, and then switch up the paces. That works as well. But this trains your ability to handle fatigue, which directly improves your ability to last in the last 100 meter of the 400 meter sprint. And this is also very important for distance runners. And most distance runners are probably already familiar with the tempo workout, because it's going to allow you to maintain your endurance to sustain race pace when you're, let's say, training for the marathon or the half. So day three, speed endurance. And this is going to be important to just build up your speed endurance, specifically for folks who are interested in the 400 meter sprints. So speed endurance, you may do 3x300 meter. Obviously, you could train the 400 meters. So you may do 4x400 meter, 6x400 meter. You could vary, again, the distance. It doesn't always have to be 400. It can even be 350, right? It doesn't always have to be, flat, even number. But important, you don't also want to go out all out. You don't want to redline every week. Maybe you go at 80% intensity, 90% intensity. You still want to have some gas in the tank, and you want to pace yourself so you're able to complete the full repeat workout, right? Like if the workout calls for 3x300s, you shouldn't go do the first one at 100% and then not be able to finish, have to dramatically slow down for set 2 and set 3 of the repeats. Right, so train hard and recover harder, though. And again, pace yourself with these repeats as well. So strength training, if you skip strength training, you dramatically increase your injury risk. minimum 2 times per week, right? Key exercise: squats, deadlifts, lunges, calf raises. Did a hamstring work, all right? So you could do like leg curls, Nordic curls, hamstring slides, glute strengthening, bridges, hip thrusters, roll band walkouts. So why this matters biomechanically: strong muscles absorb force, and weak muscles shift stress to the joints, and that's where things like knee pain could start, or hip pain, or ankle pain, or an Achilles tendon issue, right? And again, like I talked about earlier, sprinting can produce 4 to 5 times body weight forces on the body. So if your tissues aren't strong enough to handle, right, that load tolerance, your ability to tolerate load or the loading demands, the capacity, your body cannot handle speed safely. And a common myth is that strength training makes runners slow, makes you bulky. But that's completely false, right? Research shows runners can reduce running volume, add strength and power, and still improve in performance. There was actually a study I read. This is a study on 5K runners who reduced their running volume by 30%, swapping it out for strength and power training, and still improve their running times compared to their peers who were just doing straight running for the duration of the study period. So even distance runners can benefit massively from doing sprint training, but also strength training, and integrating both of them into their training plan. So recovery rules for masters athletes, right? This is where most runners fail. It's not just training, it's recovery. Right? Key rules: make sure you're not sleep deprived. Right? If you're sleeping less than 6 hours a night, it's going to put you at higher risk for injury. It's also going to decrease your performance. You're just not going to be able to go as fast. Sprinting on poor sleep is a disaster. You need real rest days, especially if you're 35 and older, working full time. Also important, newer runners should not do fake recovery runs that are actually moderate intensity. I'd rather you run less than try to run 5 or 6 days a week doing a recovery run on between the quality 3 run works and doing recovery runs. And they're actually junk miles, which just overly fatiguing you. I'd rather have a complete rest day from running, do the quality runs when you have to, like if you have a speed workout, do the speed workout at quality, but then have easy or rest day right after. Don't do a sprint workout. And then if you're a beginner or more intermediate, do a recovery run on like legs that are already kind of beat up from the speed workout you did the other day or yesterday, for example. You should take, if I did speed workout yesterday, today I'll take it easy. I could still go for a walk or maybe go for a bike ride or roll, do a different type of workout, maybe do a strength training session for like the upper body or something. But you take a true recovery days in between like sprint workouts or tempo run whenever your legs are feeling tired or whatever, or even sore. But true recovery is not just, you should feel rest, right? It should allow your body to rest. It should allow your legs to recover between the workouts. Otherwise, you're just accumulating fatigue throughout the week if you're doing these junk miles or these quote unquote recovery runs. Unless you're really like a high level athlete and you know how to do a true recovery run, right? Where you're essentially jogging, but you know how to do it properly. But if you're not a high level athlete, you don't know how to do it properly, or you think you know how to do it, but your legs are actually more tired, then not take it out of the training schedule. And obviously make sure you have good sleep. So the 400-meter rewards, speed, strength, smart pacing, tissue resilience, especially when you know how to train it properly. It's not just about suffering. And remember, you don't need to train 6 days per week. You don't need to train like you're a collegiate sprinter or a high school sprinter. You could get significantly faster with just 3 runs per week. Improve your integrating strength training at least twice a week, proper recovery, and this applies to master sprinters, military fitness tests, right? If you're trying to train for like the police or trying for the military. I was actually a former U.S. Marine myself, so I remember I actually would do 400-meter repeats to actually improve my running time. So in the Marines, we were testing on the 3-mile run by doing 400-meter repeats. It actually made me a much faster runner, in addition to the strength training, of course. And this 400-meter training can also apply for marathon runners, right? So if you train for a marathon, doing speed workout with 400-meter repeats or training sprint-style workouts can also improve your marathon speed as well, because better speed equals better running economy or running efficiency at all distances. So if you're a runner over 30, 35 years old, 40, 50, 60s, and you want to get faster without getting injured, right? Whether you just want to, maybe you like to compete at the 400 meter as a masters athlete, or you just want a stronger finish in your distance runs, right? For the marathon or a half or 5K, or you just want to run for fitness, general health, longevity for long term. That's what I help runners do as a physical therapist and run coach. I combine smart run programming, strength training, injury prevention, and performance coaching. So you can run fast and pain-free. And if you want a personalized running roadmap, you can book a free consult call using the link in the description. We'll look at your goals, your injury history, training schedule, and build a smarter plan for your body.